Evie has discovered that she's related to some pompous rich white people straight out of Downtown Abbey. However, they have a dark secret that really sucks. Will she run for the exit, or be swooned by a handsome, mysterious boner on legs? Put on your Sunday best for The Invitation. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. The Invitation, directed by an Aussie director by the name of Jessica M. Thompson. She's directed a few short films here and there, but one feature film, however, an absolute gut punch called The Light of the Moon, starring Brooklyn Nine-Nine's Rosa. We open the film on a young woman trying to escape this really dark, scary mansion. She's running through hallways trying to find an exit. She decides her only way out is to grab a piano wire, wrap it around her neck, and take a swan dive off the second balcony, which can only go well. Fair to say she hit the wrong note on that one. We then meet our protagonist, Evie here, played here by Natalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones and Fast and the Furious fame. Evie is the most millennial that ever got triggered and offended by today's society. She's a struggling pottery artist, POC, who can't find no good man on the New York dating scene, and she spends her days serving food for a catering company for rich assholes. So pretty much every actor that ever existed. She's working for this one event that's a launch for a new website that tracks your DNA and finds your heritage. Or as the Tasmanians like to call it, Tinder. Conveniently, her sassy best friend swipes one of the gift bags from the event that has one of the DNA tests inside. She takes the test between creating ceramic pottery, being exhausted by the dating scene, all the while her sassy best friend delivering the most eye-rolling, cringeworthy dialogue that seems straight out of a modern Marvel Disney Plus show. While Evie struggles by being a millennial in New York City, her test results come back and finds out that she actually has some relatives in England. And turns out that one of her distant cousins just so happens to be in New York at this moment. What a coinkydink! Her and her cousin catch up for lunch, and the cousin convinces Evie to come back to England with him for the wedding of the century and give her an opportunity to meet her distant relatives. Evie reluctantly accepts, goes to England to let her hair down. She then ends up at Downtown Abbey where she meets her distant relatives here and her wet dream, Walter, played here by a handsome smug weirdo dressed like Prince Eric but sounds devilishly evil like Scar. Every word out of this guy Walter's mouth just is oozing and marinated in smugness. Oh yes, Evie. However, Evie gets a lady boner for Walter, and he's hot, it's all good, so no creepy weirdo vibes here. She also meets head butler Alfred Pennyworth, who looks like he's about to vomit every time he talks to Evie. And of course, her personal maid, Mrs. Potts here, who has a heart of gold. One lump or two? Of course, the mansion she's staying is old and creepy, and it doesn't take long for really creepy shit to start happening. There's some female maids who are numbered for reasons. Oh yes, I think I'll have number 4 tonight. Definitely not said by a vampire. Evie starts seeing dark hooded figures in the hallways, and the library is completely off limits because there's no creepy stuff happening in there. God, at least the Beast wasn't that much of a dick and letting Belle use it every once in a while. Then we get an hour of courting between Evie and not Remy Malek. This drags on and on and on. The dialogue is cliche AF and being really English, like overly pompously English. More English than John Cleese drinking a cup of tea on top of a mountain at Gallipoli while ordering Australian soldiers to be bullet pincushions for the British. And all the acting is very Gossip Girl. We of course get the jump scares that can be expected, and you know they're coming a mile away because the sound gets drained just before they happen. And then of course we get bah! Of course the numbered maids start getting killed off one by one. That's definitely not a vampire doing it. Of course, eventually Evie and handsome weirdo hook up, and she jokingly accepts his proposal. Later that night, the cast of Eyes Wide Shut rock up for a big dinner, and then it's revealed that Evie is in fact the bride for this wedding of the century, and her new husband is indeed a vampire. I'm shocked. Turns out that she's going to be his third bride, uniting 4 big epic British families for reasons. Because they're stronger with unity or some shit. But Evie's having none of it. We only have about, 30 minutes of the movie left, so we've got to wrap this shit up. So Evie gets some temporary vampire powers, she burns down Downton Abbey, and has an X-Men level fight between not Remy Malek and his two brides. Oh, but just before the credits, we do get a girl boss moment, where Evie gets an SJW haircut, some black lipstick, and gets her sassy best friend to go take down one of the distant cousins who escaped the fire. This scene is straight out of the CW network. The look of the film is the modern day horror that you come to expect now. The disposable ones, however, it's really dark and it's almost impossible to see what's happening on screen at any given time. And of course it's filmed in the Matrix because everything has a blue hue over it. The film is actually quite boring. The majority of the film is establishing a romance between Evie and Walter. This film is a wet dream for the people who froth Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey just without the chemistry. And that's saying something. However, the end goes full-blown third-tier Blumhouse. And the wrap-up pre-credit scene is straight out of CW Batwoman. So who's this film for, you might ask? Wine mums. That's who it's for. Wine mums. Evie is clearly a self-insert for the audience here. And here they get to live out their fantasy. She struggles with everyday life, but discovered that she was special this whole time but didn't even know it. A rich, handsome stranger is infatuated with you, I mean her. And of course it gives the wine mum something to rub one out to. And of course at the end, getting powers, having a girl boss moment by mowing down all the bad people. The feel of the film is kind of a mixture of Get Out meets Ready or Not with a sprinkle of Antebellum. And of course if you saw the trailer, you've seen the movie. Did I like this movie? Fuck no, but it's not made for me. The story sounds good on paper, it really does. And I can't help but wonder that if this was a novel released in the 1600s, it would be really terrifyingly scary. But this is a film in 2022, and yeah, you're not going to get the scares. The same could be said for adapting the book Dracula for a modern audience. It was terrifying in its day as a book, but as a film, not so much. I think the 2020 miniseries fucking really hit the nail on the head there. It respected the source material while also doing something a little different with it, so I don't think we need any more adaptations of Dracula. But enough about that. That is my review of The Invitation. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen the movie. I didn't like this film, but again, I'm sure wine mums would love it. Guys, write down below if you've seen this film, or if you're interested in it, or if you don't give a shit about it. And guys, if you made it this far into the review, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because we give it episodes weekly, and we'll see you back here next week for the next review, and until then, stay spooky, kids.